Welcome to our podcast chapter today. Let's dive right into the topic by starting with Greece's rich history. Greece is a country known for its contributions to philosophy, democracy, and art. But today, we will explore a different part of its history, one involving its economy. Greece was very excited when it first joined the European Union. This was a big moment for the country, as it meant being part of a larger European family. But what made it even more special was Greece's adoption of the euro. Imagine switching from drachma to the euro, which was a huge change for many Greeks.
Indeed, but Greece's economic situation in the late 1990s was quite challenging. Back then, a lot of people were not paying taxes, and the government was spending a lot more money than it had. Despite these problems, joining the Euro Club was a huge deal. It showed that Greece was ready to be part of this new European dream. Being part of the euro meant having lower borrowing costs and a more stable economy, or at least it seemed that way. Greece was considered part of a strong group of countries that shared one currency, making trade and travel easier. But as we will see later, the reality was a bit different.
Let's continue from where we left off. Greece faced significant hurdles trying to meet the criteria to join the eurozone. These criteria included keeping a low budget deficit and maintaining a modest debt-to-GDP ratio. But Greece's economy, plagued by tax evasion and inefficiencies, found these requirements daunting. Meeting them was close to impossible at the time. For Greece, missing out on the euro wasn't an option. It would mean economic isolation, higher borrowing costs, and the sense of being left behind.
That's when Goldman Sachs entered the scene with a creative plan to help Greece meet the criteria. They used currency swaps, a type of financial engineering, allowing Greece to present a better picture of their debt levels. Although this wasn't illegal, it did involve creativity and accounting practices. These swaps hid significant debt off Greece's balance sheet, making it look like strict criteria were being met. This solution seemed magical and indeed helped Greece qualify to adopt the euro.
After adopting the euro, public perception in Greece was extremely positive. The shift to using a single European currency brought many benefits. Borrowing costs were reduced as lenders perceived Greece as part of a stable economic group. This initiated an economic boom, with cheaper loans and increased investor confidence. Everyone was optimistic about the future. If you want to receive the transcript of our videos and support us, consider joining through our paid membership.
However, while things seemed prosperous on the surface, there were underlying problems. The truth was, despite appearances, Greece's economy remained fragile. The fundamentals were weak, and masking the debt only delayed the inevitable. Over time, these hidden issues would surface, leading to much bigger challenges for Greece and the entire European Union.
As we dive deeper into Greece's journey, let's talk about an exciting chapter: the 2004 Olympics in Athens. Hosting the Olympics was a moment of pride for Greece, seen as a chance to showcase the country's progress. The nation invested heavily in infrastructure and facilities to host this significant event. With the world watching, it seemed like Greece was stepping into a golden era. Optimism swept across the country. People felt that Greece was finally ready to match its rich historical legacy with modern achievements.
However, beneath this surface of optimism, significant issues lurked. Tax evasion was widespread, with many citizens not paying what was due. This made it hard for the country to collect enough revenue. At the same time, government spending was very high, with money flowing into public sector salaries and pensions. This massive spending was not sustainable. Furthermore, the investments needed for the Olympics added significantly to Greece's debt, which was already high.
Despite the proud moment of hosting the Olympics, there was a disconnect between the country's appearance and what was happening beneath the surface. The problems such as hidden debt and inefficient financial practices did not disappear. They were simply overshadowed by the temporary success and pride of hosting a global event. While externally Greece seemed to have a booming economy, the underlying issues were building up and would come to the forefront in the years to follow.
The infrastructure investments and overall spending were short-lived in providing any real economic progress. They masked the underlying frailties, leading to an exaggerated sense of prosperity. In reality, the country's economic fundamentals were deeply flawed. This illusion of prosperity tricked many into believing that Greece was on a path to sustained growth. But in truth, these financial shortcuts only delayed facing and addressing the economic hardships that were on the horizon.
As the 2008 global financial crisis hit, Greece found itself in an increasingly precarious position. Tourism, a key industry for Greece, suffered major declines as people cut back on travel. Shipping, another important sector, also slowed down significantly. Suddenly, Greece was struggling to keep its economy afloat with significantly reduced income. The tax revenues, never a strong point for Greece, fell sharply. This left the government with a further reduced ability to address its growing economic challenges.
Amid this turmoil, Greece's newly elected government came forward with shocking information. It revealed that past governments had understated the country's financial problems for years. The credibility of Greek bonds quickly fell, leading to a devaluation to junk status by credit ranking agencies. This development caused Greek interest rates to skyrocket, making it exceedingly hard for Greece to borrow the money it desperately needed. This revelation was the tipping point that exposed how dire Greece's financial situation truly was.
Recognizing the impending disaster, the need for international assistance became clear. Greece took the first steps toward getting support from external sources, and the Troika, composed of the European Union, the European Central Bank, and the International Monetary Fund, stepped in. Their involvement came with a historic rescue package aimed at keeping Greece from spiraling into complete financial collapse. This was the beginning of a long and deeply challenging journey for Greece, stuck between the reality of its financial status and the demands imposed by external aid.
In assessing Greece's financial breakdown, it becomes evident that the global financial crisis acted as a catalyst, exposing underlying weaknesses that had been building up over years. With external help now in place, the task was to restabilize Greece's economy. Yet, this process was anything but simple, as it set the stage for further austerity measures that would deeply impact the Greek population. The road to recovery was fraught with complex challenges and difficult choices about how to move forward.
The Troika, consisting of the European Union, the European Central Bank, and the International Monetary Fund, came to Greece's aid with a colossal rescue package. The aim was clear: to prevent Greece from completely collapsing economically. However, the financial help came with strict conditions, fiscal discipline, and immediate austerity measures. For Greece, this meant enforcing harsh budget cuts and increasing taxes, goals set to regain economic stability. These measures were supposed to restore faith in the Greek economy and reduce its towering debts.
Despite the intention behind them, these austerity measures brought about severe economic contraction. The Greek economy began shrinking at an alarming rate. Businesses found themselves grappling with fewer customers, and many had to shut down operations permanently. Unemployment rates skyrocketed, reaching historic highs. Greek citizens faced long lines at job centers while closures devastated many families. The austerity program, aimed at economic recovery, instead pushed the country deeper into recession.
To better understand the gravity of Greece's situation, we can compare it to Argentina's debt crisis from the early 2000s. Just like Greece, Argentina had adopted similar austerity measures under guidance from the International Monetary Fund, hoping to stabilize its broken economy. However, in both cases, the promise of economic recovery was elusive. Instead of fostering growth, the austerity strategies only deepened the economic woes. The experiences of both these countries highlighted the pitfalls of one-size-fits-all intervention strategies in times of crisis.
For Greece, the intended path to fiscal recovery became an endless cycle of recession and hardship. The austerity measures didn't effectively address the critical issues and instead compounded the struggles. Businesses continued to fail, job opportunities remained scarce, and the overall morale of the Greek population plummeted. The harsh realities of this economic strategy proved ineffective at promoting growth and instead cemented a long-term economic downturn, posing significant questions about austerity's true efficacy.
As we delve into 2012, Greece was still engulfed in severe economic turmoil. This year marked the organization of the second bailout, part of a historic rescue effort aimed at stabilizing the economy. This rescue effort came with a massive debt restructuring, where private bondholders agreed to a significant haircut on Greece's debt. Such measures aimed to lessen the immediate financial burden, but came at a high cost. The The social implications were profound, resulting in an eruption of protests as people resisted the continued austerity measures.
In response to ongoing economic hardship, political dynamics in Greece shifted dramatically. The situation fueled the rise of both far-right and far-left parties, illustrating people's desperation for alternatives to traditional political solutions. One such party, Syriza, emerged with strong promises to end austerity and negotiate better terms with Europe. The electorate placed their hopes in Syriza's plans, seeing it as a beacon of change that could potentially rescue Greece from its prolonged suffering.
However, Syriza's plans faced immense challenges. Negotiating new bailout terms with European leaders wasn't straightforward. Greece sought debt relief and more lenient terms, arguing that austerity had pushed the economy into deeper recession rather than setting it on a path to recovery. Yet, European leaders were resistant, concerned about setting precedents for other struggling countries. The negotiation process was fraught with tension, reflecting the broader clash between Greek demands for relief and Europe's insistence on strict fiscal discipline.
Compounded by the challenging negotiations was the immense pressure from the Greek public, who had faced years of austerity with little relief in sight. Despite Syriza's electoral mandate, the party struggled to achieve its aims, illuminating the limits of political change within the complex fabric of European financial regulation. The Greek crisis hence became not only a national but an international issue, emphasizing the difficulty of enacting reforms amid such intertwined economic and political pressures.
In 2015, Greece marked a significant moment in its ongoing crisis by defaulting on an IMF loan. Missing this payment was unprecedented for a developed nation and exacerbated the situation. With this default, capital controls were quickly imposed to prevent a banking system collapse. Greeks found themselves facing severe limitations, like only withdrawing €60 per day from their bank accounts, highlighting the gravity of the financial dilemma they were in. People's daily lives were disrupted, adding to the widespread panic and uncertainty.
As Greece stood on the brink, intense negotiations unfolded to secure a third bailout package. This was a critical lifeline aimed at preventing the country from descending further into economic chaos. But the terms were harsh, filled with stringent conditions that demanded further economic reforms and austerity measures. These conditions created an environment of skepticism and frustration among the populace, who had already suffered extensively because of past agreements. Despite these challenges, accepting the bailout was inevitable for Greece.
Even after receiving the third bailout, Greece faced an arduous journey ahead. The reality was stark, as the country had to continue grappling with profound economic hardships. Unemployment rates remained high, and many businesses were still struggling to stay afloat. For ordinary Greeks, the hope for quick recovery seemed elusive. The measures imposed were meant to set Greece on a path to stability and growth, but the immediate effect was far from ideal. People had to endure more economic pain before any signs of recovery.
This period underscored the deep challenges Greece faced in overcoming its financial strife. The road to recovery was lined with obstacles, including the need for effective economic governance and sound financial practices. The crisis highlighted the importance of fiscal responsibility and the dangers of financial mismanagement. Greece's experience serves as a sobering lesson for other nations about the complexities of modern economics. It reminds us of how quickly a financial system can collapse if not properly maintained and monitored.
Understanding financial governance is crucial, not just for governments, but for us as individuals. Monitoring and learning about global financial challenges can help us make informed decisions. If you're interested in gaining more insights into issues like these, consider subscribing to our podcast. Stay informed and join the conversation about financial trends and their impacts on countries worldwide.